So the thing is that the tips that you actually get from people like 12 hours of studying and stuff, that never works. I haven't studied 12 hours in a fucking
No problem.
ये काफी पर्सनल टॉपिक है, ठीक है?
Today's video is for all the data science enthusiasts. So we've actually received quite a few requests from you all to cover an interview segment for this role. And here we are. And we'll be inviting our friend who is currently placed at Dozee and discussing everything from the recruitment process to the preparation strategy and much more. So stay tuned.
Before moving to the recruitment process, we have our Telegram channel. The link will be in the description box below. All the latest job updates about our placement interview series and our vlogs will be posted first there, so that you will be get notified. And we have a placement interview form too. If you are interested to give interview experiences on our channel, you can fill up the form and we will contact you. Also, speaking about the recruitment process, the guest for today is a department topper of us, and he is been doing ML for the past 4-5 years. So he is very good at it, and he gave some amazing tips. So stay tuned. So let's jump into the recruitment process. The profile offered by the company is junior data scientist. The CTC is as follows. Eligibility criteria, there was no such eligibility criteria. Any student or from any branch or any department can apply for this. There was an online test. There was a simple test consisting of 2 data science related tasks where you have to write and perform operations and put it on your Git repo and share the repo, and 2 weeks of time were given. Coming to the interview round, there were 3 interview round. First was task review. The whatever task you have done in the previous round, that will be reviewed, and there was a technical round too. There was next the technical round with head, and last was a non-tech with CTO. It was basically a HR type of round, and we will be discussing all this process in very much detail along with some tips with our guest today. Before moving on with the interview segment, let's talk about Relevel. The steps are as follows. You need to register for the test, take the test, interview with the employers, and accept the offer. The twist is there are 2 more new tests along with business development test, front-end development test, back-end development test, that are business analytics test and data analytics test. Many of you are and must be interested in data analytics test. So all the tests are having 1000 marks in total, and you need to score 700 above to get qualified for interviews. And here you can check the phases as well as the test. All the tests can be given in 1 day. The eligibility criteria is you should be 18 years and above, and you should be having laptop or desktop to take the test. And there is a brochure mentioned for all the tips and tricks that you will be needing for it. Also, the companies that are engaged with Relevel are CRED, 1MG, Paytm, Upgrad.
So hi guys, today we have with us Vishwa, who has cracked the off-campus recruitment process for Dozee for the job role of that of a data scientist. So welcome to our channel, Vishwa.
Hi.
So before we move on, I would request you to give a quick introduction first.
So I'm a computer science and engineering grad from MIT WPU, and I've been working in machine learning and data science for the past 4 years now. And yeah, so I specifically focus on deep learning and research in that specific domain. So yeah, that's been my brief introduction.
So since Dozee was an off-campus recruitment, so how did you found the company and how did you apply for it?
So basically, we were working with Dozee for a while back before actually applied an interview for the job. So they were our sponsor in our final year project. So basically, when we decided on our final year project to be in the medical domain, and like kind of the combination of artificial intelligence and ML in order to diagnose medical reports, Sneha from our team approached Dozee so that they can sponsor us and guide us through the project. And they ended up liking our work and gave us an opportunity to apply for the position there. So that's how I basically came across the opportunity. I applied for it, and they therefore, after reviewing my resume, they started the interview process.
Okay. So this may be a little off topic, but since you said that Sneha from your team like applied for the final year, if they could sponsor your final year project, how exactly does that work? Like you need to give the problem statement and then approach the company.
So we basically what happened was that first we decided on the ideas and the modules that are going to be in a project, and we basically started looking for companies on LinkedIn and other such websites who work in a similar domain.
Okay.
And she kind of jotted down few companies, and we made a presentation that she forwarded them to, which basically gives the brief of a project. So therefore, they approached us, and it seemed like they were interested in one of our modules a lot. So that's how we got connected and started the end of the sponsorship process.
So we can move to the recruitment process now. So you can tell us how the rounds work and how the interviews went.
Yeah. So the first round was basically after they reviewed our resumes, they sent us a test which was to be finished in 2 days, and the test was basically kind of in the field in which Dozee works, so it's relevant to the product as well. So they were 2 tasks based on time series analysis and anomaly detection. And all we had to do was figure out a way to detect some certain instances in that series based on any method that we know. So we were not restricted to using machine learning or deep learning itself. We can go for statistical or some new method which doesn't exist, or so on and so forth. So basically they wanted to see how we approach a problem once we get that. And yeah, so that basically we got a deadline of around a week, and we had to basically push that to a repository and submit that repository via form. So that was the first part. And after that, they took a while to review the projects. And the second round of interview was sort of a technical round as well, and a review of the submission that we have made. So it lasted for around 1.5 hours. And it basically, the first quarter of it was just discussing about the methods that we have used in the first task. So why this method, why not this, does this work in this specific case? So they wanted to just kind of see how much have you actually explored while solving this problem. Have you just taken a method and just put that on? Have you just Googled it and kind of applied the models directly, what you actually get from scikit-learn, etc.? Or do you actually understand what you're doing here? Does your method have a merit behind it or not? So that was the first quarter of it. And after that, they asked some basic questions on machine learning and deep learning. And following that, there were some aptitude and logical reasoning questions, in the sense that like kind of if the algorithms that you learn in subjects like DSA, etc., if you're given a real world scenario, will you be able to apply it there to solve that problem? So that was the first technical round. And the second round was like sort of a semi-technical one with the head of the R&D department. And that basically had some other aptitude-based riddles, like they were in the first round. And we were given a scenario and how we are supposed to approach that. So since Dozee is a company that works in the medical domain, right? So their devices are basically used to monitor a lot of patients and reduce the nursing hours. So they were actually giving us situations where if we can, they give us a market condition and see that if we can kind of figure out how we can meet that, how many products do we need for that, and so on and so forth. And there were just some basic kind of aptitude questions there as well. And the last round was with the CTO of the company, which was just in order to kind of discuss the role, discuss what the company actually does. It was sort of an HR round. And also the final salary which will be given and the compensation. So these were all the rounds which were taken before getting the offer.
And you mentioned that you've been taking up, you were part of machine learning and deep learning since for quite a while now. So for the first task that was given, how would you rate the difficulty of that round? And if there are a lot of juniors, who are interested in taking up data science but don't know where to start. So if you can give a few pointers as to how to, get started and start practicing and everything.
Cool. So like the difficulty of the round, the first round will be, I'll give it around 3.5 out of 5. because like the solution to the problem were many. Like it wasn't just something which can be solved with just one approach. That usually happens in a coding problem, right? So a lot of different methods can be used, including deep learning, advanced deep learning approaches like LSTM, and very basic approaches like Manhalov resistance as well. So it was a pretty good task actually. This was one of the very few data science interviews actually felt like it was being taken for a data science role. Like rest of the people just ask you basic questions like what's the assumption for linear regression, which is like kind of, it's just a mugging up a situation like most of the interviews are. So yeah, the first round was pretty good. There were 2 problems, and second one I would give it a like slightly higher rating. The difficulty would be 4 out of 5. The reason being that it was slightly harder because you need to know concepts including Fourier transform. So that basically was something which made it a little difficult comparatively. And along with that, I guess, and the main problem is because college mein, like whenever you're taking these subjects, like Maths 3, you're not actually taught the applications of Fourier transform, right? Yeah. So a lot of people are not directly kind of get the gist of how exactly is this supposed to be applied here, or even if like this is a solution for this or not, right? So a lot of people, it will not click them, see if the difference is in the frequency that we can actually put Fourier transform and get that domain instead. So yeah, that's basically kind of the engineering curriculum messing us up. Yeah, but about the data science part, so like the first thing which you need to decide is what domain do you actually want to get in, right? So a lot of people, like when they're actually jumping into data science, they confuse that with jumping into machine learning, deep learning, and RL, like thinking that all of them are the same things. No, like a lot of people will not be able to come in able to मेरा internet वापस गया था क्या?
हाँ.
Yes.
Coming to.
Yeah. So when you want to actually kind of decide the role here, so a lot of people who want to just come into data science and they basically end up jumping into deep learning. A lot of people will not be able to kind of stay in that field for a while, because it's kind of when the neural network and the backpropagation part starts, it's become a little mathematical and therefore it becomes a little. So that does not mean that you cannot get into data science, right? 2 months into this job approx, and I think I have worked on a deep learning model for 2-3 days max. Most of my work has so far been statistical. So if you're going for a data science role, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to know machine learning and deep learning and such advanced topics as well. Data science primarily deals with you being able to make sense of the data which is in front of you, right? So if you're beginning, then start with basic statistics. So do not jump with scikit-learn. What most ML courses do is they directly throw you in the deep end, teach you the linear regression directly. No, first clear the statistical part. First check how to process data. Why are we doing those processing steps? You do not want to go at it like a robot that okay, first normalization lagana hai, uske baad kind of one-hot encoding karna hai, फिर model में डालना है. If you do that, your model might end up working, but you won't understand why. The main goal of a data scientist is to derive insight from whatever model you have. Understand the coefficients of a linear regression model, understand why a random forest works better than a single decision tree, why a decision tree overfits. So first and foremost, you need to take a course on statistics if you want to get into data science. And I think a good enough grasp of statistics should be okay to get you a job in a data science, like a job in a ML company or a job as a data scientist. Because the problem statement that were given to us in the first round, they can be solved purely statistically as well. There was no need of machine learning there at all. Right, so that would be the first step, and then start taking up courses, reading articles. Like the resources are endless, and like kind of machine learning being a very prominent field right now. So you can find good enough courses on YouTube as well. You don't even have to jump to Coursera or YouTube. So yeah, I think that would be a good point to start.
So you were part of many hackathons. So how it helped you to be strong in machine learning, or you take the part of data science?
Yeah, I think it is the other way around. Like being a part of hackathons is something that actually helped me be better at machine learning and artificial intelligence. The reason being that when you're solving problems which you actually get in a course, right, they are very hand-holding. You're never going to encounter the problem that you actually encounter in real life. So the only way to improve your sort of the skill which you actually perfect in, it's not just machine learning. Even if you're a software developer, an app dev, you'll not get the good enough experience of that until you try and solve it in a real world problem and actually talk to a stakeholder of that. right? So like kind of hackathons weren't something where I was getting better at due to machine learning. Machine learning was something I was getting better at due to hackathons. And like kind of not even winning them, even participating in them basically gives company a lot of confidence in your profile. The reason being that the kind of solving the college assignments is not that hard. Like almost we have 420 students, I guess, and 420 out of 420 solve that, right? If because companies are going to throw you in a real world situation, you are going to get a project, and they need to know whether you're able to apply your skills there or not. So even if you have participated that, even if you can explain your project well enough, what you have done, why you have done that, what is the justification behind it, even if you do not get any trophies, that's fine, but you need to participate for the experience and for the kind of polishing to your profile.
So apart from actively taking part in hackathons, you've also done very well in college academics as well. So like what tips would you like to give to our juniors so that they can, manage both of them properly?
So this will be specifically for computer science, right?
Yeah.
Not general topic, because I have been on the entire spectrum, right? I used to score around 50% when I was in 10th, and now I'm basically like 9.99 CGPA right now. So the thing is that the tips that you actually get from people like 12 hours of studying and stuff, that never works. I haven't studied 12 hours in a fucking
No problem.
ये काफी पर्सनल टॉपिक है because the problem was that I have taken so many advices that did not work for me. Like I have taken tuition classes for no reason at all. I have kind of studied books that had nothing to do with what's actually being asked in the exam. So the main goal is to figure out what works for you. Like I have tried other people's method for a very long time, and none of them actually work. My father is a PhD in mathematics, so he was the one who basically used to teach me when I was in 10th. And I used to fill like 13, 14 books per semester in order to like kind of prepare for the exams. And I never scored more than 70 in mathematics. The only way I actually figured out how to score is like because his way was systematic. That I currently solve in a manner that मेरे एक page में 7 problems solve, 2 problems in line and 3 in diagonals. Like, so basically you need to figure out what works for you first. Like you cannot get an advice that will help you understand your topic better. And the first thing which is needed for that is you need to like that topic, right? Because even in computer science, you're not going to like a lot of topics that are actually going to come in your syllabus. For example, SEPM, like anyone who's watching this from MIT WPU will relate to this. SEPM was horrible. Not the teachers though. The teachers were really good. The subject specific. It's excruciatingly boring. So you'll need to keep your calms there. You need to stay on your nerves so that you can actually focus in the classes. And yeah, one more thing is that like there is a very big conception that there's nothing being taught in the classroom, so ghar pe hi jaake padhna padta at the end of the day. I specifically do not believe in that. That's why I kept my attendance really high, because I never studied at home. Like I used to just take the notes in class, understand it there, and yeah, basically come back home and used to teach other people during examinations to get my revision done. But again, this is not an advice which everyone should follow. You need to find your own method out. It kind of teaching is not something which is for everyone. So do not jump into this. So yeah, the main goal will be figure out a way which makes you like this subject. Do not follow a kind of a goat's trail, sadly, kind of sheep herd ke beech mein nahi jana hai. Just find your method out, and that should help. And be careful of computer networks, man. That's hard. That's extremely hard. Yeah.
So what about like, so you've been part of taking up data science projects since first year itself, or like did you like slowly get into this, you developed interest?
No, first year I basically just spent learning Python like as well as I can. I took like I guess 2 or 3 courses. I started picking up random projects from the internet. Started picking up some very common problems that like kind of exist in computer science, like principles of what was it called? Tower of Hanoi, right? So just pick up random problems, see what Python constructs can you use to solve that. So first get a grasp on that language which you actually want to do ML in. That will be the first goal. And after that, I think my first machine learning project was in second trimester or second year. and actually picked something up for the first time, which is not in a course's curriculum, which actually I wanted to build. And that's basically how it started. And another like main part of getting like kind of starting with the projects in machine learning is to build a community. Like, and I had like really good people who were really interested in this field. Like for example, we had Shivam Stirao, who was excellent at it. We had Sneha, we had like a lot of people from college. We had Dheeraj as well. So all of them were like kind of having this community helps you kind of get a new perspective on how to solve a problem. Yeah. So like I was saying, that is a very important aspect of this. That you need to know people. You need to be in contact with the people who think like you in the kind of the project domain, who are interested in ML and want to do projects in ML. And you need to get their opinions as well very frequently. So that's like a very important aspect of actually starting with ML projects, is have a community.
So what actually data scientists have to do? Like what companies expecting, what you are looking ahead?
Okay, so basically what is expected is that you first need to like, so I'm working in the R&D department specifically, right? So first, what is the first approach to a problem that we actually take is read all the literature available on that specific problem, right? For example, if we are like, let's say hypothetically working on a pollution detection problem, right? Pollution detection and forecast. First thing which you need to do is read all the current papers, the current methodology being used. And the second part will be to get the data set and understand its kind of structuring, right? And start figuring out a solution from scratch. If you'll directly try to jump to machine learning, because see, the problem with directly jumping to ML is that a lot of these products are to be deployed in the kind of the field, right? And it's where if a company basically expects that you need to make a real-time model, machine learning is not the perfect approach for it. Specifically if you jump to deep learning, like the inference time there is very high. It's very good at prediction, but it takes a lot of computation as well. So you will have to justify why do you want to use this specific DL or ML model before you actually get to use it. So the first thing is to figure out a statistical method of solving the problem. And when those statistical methods will have some flaw, if you'll test it out or if you can figure it by just eyeballing it, that is when you'll actually start dumping to the ML part. So this is the flow which is expected. So first you need to know everything which has already been done in this field. You need to get the data, clear the data in a manner that actually suits your problem statement, and then start finding out a solution from the ground. I mean, like kind of take a bottom-up approach. So yeah, that's basically kind of the flow of like, that's basically what we are expected to do in Dozee, right? So before actually jumping to a solution, we need to explain the solution to the head of the R&D or a manager, and they need to approve it first. So we have to start from the bottom.
Got it.
And are there any resources that you would suggest to juniors that to jump into that field, data scientists or anything?
Yeah,
resources
actually,
to start with.
To jump into this field, I would say the course from Kirill and Hadlin on Udemy, right? Those are really helpful, because like someone who's just jumping into machine learning, the problem which I've noticed with the Coursera courses is that they expect you to know a lot of mathematics before you actually jump into that, right? And since ML is a tool, you do not need to be that well versed with it. So kind of if you are at a beginner's level, if you just want to get a grasp of how this topic actually feels, that course will not teach you everything which you actually need to know. Like they'll not go that in depth, and you have to understand DL and ML in depth in order to kind of figure out the right model. But that's a good starting point for everyone. So yeah, that's a good enough course. And second thing is read research papers as frequently as you can. Go to Google Scholar. If your problem that basically comes in your mind, just search for that. Take out the latest papers, see the highest number of citations, the authors, and pick up those papers and read those solutions. Because there's a lot of new things which are happening in DA which are not being taught in courses. The advancements in generative network, for example, if someone is interested in deep learning. So yeah, those two will be a really important resource. Like that will be a really important resource. Like kind of jumping into Google Scholars, getting getting papers from good enough journals so that like kind of you get a grasp of what's new in this field. Yeah, so I think that should be it.
Yeah, and this particular job profile as well, right? Data scientist, there's not a lot of openings for freshers. So a lot of people, they sort of compromise, even if they're interested in this field, since they're not, since there are not many openings, they compromise and jump into other field, thinking that maybe after like gaining some experience they'll shift back. So like what would you like to say, or what is your take on
that's actually something which like bothers a lot of people. It bothered me as well, the fact that there were not a lot of openings in ML and DL. Yeah, but the only solution to that as of now is kind of you need to keep looking for this, because if you lose your grasp for a while, right, you'll start actually. That is basically how I feel, that if you're not consistently working on this, then you start losing your grip on this. So I would suggest, like, before giving up, just give a good look to some companies which are specifically. So if you want to jump to, let's say, a FANG or a big company looking for an ML role, that's going to be extremely hard. So what you need to do is look for startups itself who are working in this specific domain, and that will give you a good enough experience. So you can say that you have worked as a machine learning engineer for 3-4 years. You'll get a good project, and yeah, and even if you're getting in a startup, right, they, rather than spending a lot of time on your training, they give you a good enough project for the beginning as well. So if you think that you're good enough at machine learning that you do not need any training, the startup should be a good starting point. So yeah, I think you can get an experience from there, and then if you want to move on to big companies, then you can do that. Yeah, so I think that should be the approach. I think that's the sad reality right now. There are not a lot of openings for data scientists, and even if there are in some big companies, and the problem is that they expect you to have like 3-4 years of experience, and 3-4 years of working on ML in college does not count as experience. So, yeah, so you have to like kind of keep actively looking for openings and solve the best there.
Okay, so guys, it's a wrap for today. Thank you so much, Vishwa, for coming in and sharing your experience with us. There were a lot of tips that you provided. I hope the viewers watching the video find it helpful, and it aids them in their journey towards becoming a data scientist. And so guys, Vishwa's LinkedIn profile will be in the description box below. So if you have any queries regarding the recruitment process or any sort of resources that you want to refer to, you can contact him or drop a comment in the comment section below. With that, it's a wrap. We'll be back next week with another placement interview experience segment for you. Till then, take care and prepare well.
Bye.